Hey, I got a good place for us to start. In fact, let's start right here. Please subscribe. TstreeT Controversy.
From what I'm hearing, if he doesn't sign with Dazn, he's not going to get any of those big fights that he truly wants. But we'll see what happens. I'm in good hands right now. I'm in the best position in my career. I'm just going to let this dwell, and you guys are going to see what's going to happen in the near future with my career.
With Triple G, the word on the street is it's a possibility he's going to PBC. What do you think about that?
Triple G on PBC? Let me say that again. That sounds pretty good. Triple G on PBC? That'd be cool, man. I love the sport of boxing, and I'm fans of the Canelos, the Triple Gs, the Charlo. I'm fans of every guy that's in my division. I respect boxing, and I love it. So much credit.
Let's talk. So, I was at the fight last night. The first time I went to a fight, and I wasn't doing a whole bunch of running around trying to chase boxers and shit. So, I was looking at several things to get something out of the way before I forget, before we go into the politics and everything. I was looking at Julie Letterman, and damn it, I left the goddamn school. I got the scorecards, but they're in the house. But I was watching Julie Letterman and all and the other two judges, and trying to see like how their perspective is. For example, let's look at some things real quick. Let's go back. Let me show you some things right here. Okay. So Julie Letterman is sitting over here, right? The media is down here. We're down in this area. We're looking this way. Me personally, I'm like right here on the edge looking. So I got a full view of her. So the first thing I see, I'm like, oh shit, that's Julie Letterman. I remember she had some controversial cards in the past. And also that's obviously Harold Letterman's daughter. So I was watching her, but I noticed something. Now tell me if you noticed something about a lot of these clips. This is just the HBO highlights. But tell me if you noticed something about these highlights, though. Tell me if you noticed something. Now, we're just judging off the highlights. I've watched the fight once. I was there last night, and I watched the fight once this morning. But what I want you to look at is, I'm wondering if there's some type of judging reform that can be made where the judges have like monitors, but I'm wondering like what's the pros and cons of having monitors? Because for example, I was noticing, I can't, let me use the mouse. I was noticing like from her viewpoint, the way Danny Jacobs was talking about last night at the post-fight press conference how he would like to know what the judges would want in regards to how can we please the judges? What type of style do you like? That's not going to work because there's so many issues with that. But the thing is, I noticed that when Sergey Derevyanchenko was doing his best work, his back, Danny Jacobs was to Julie Letterman. There was at one point in time, he was on the ropes right here, on the ropes right here. And Derevyanchenko was doing some work, but not as good enough work as Danny Jacobs. But she like this, like trying to look like she's like damn near on the apron like this, trying to look up, breaking her neck. And like going like this and shit, trying to, and I'm thinking like, well, for a judge who, you know, is on that side of the ring where a lot of shit is going down and you got the cameras, you got whoever's got them sitting next to you, the judges got their own spot. So they're there right there on the apron and they got to be looking and all that shit. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they can do it. You can't motherfucking have them in a steel cage looking down on the fight, right? Like looking downwards, like so you can see, you know, what's that on my hand? You know, like where the, you know, but this whole doing this and everything, like you judging, you're trying, and then you don't know if the, I don't like that. I don't like that. But Danny Jacobs is the new IBF 160-pound champion. Congratulations to him. Now, the zone, in regards to 160 pounds, they have all the Dragon Balls. And what I mean by that is, here, let's go look at it. Let's go look at it. Right here. You have Canelo, WBC, WBA, now on the zone. He's fighting Rocky Felding on the zone. at 168 pounds for the WBA world title. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that in the future, later on in the video. Danny Jacobs, now IBF champion. Demetrius Andrade, now WBO champion. To touch on this also at the post-fight press conference, Danny Jacobs, I asked him because it makes sense. For example, let's say if Rocky Fielding beats Canelo. Let's say if Rocky Fielding beats Canelo or something happens. And also, Danny Jacobs is currently, right now, as it stands, a free agent. There's no more HBO. He is with Eddie Hearn. We don't know if it's a 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, how long it is. But with the way he was talking at the post-fight press conference, he knows that if you want the big fights at 160 pounds, you have to be on the zone. But he doesn't want to fight Demetrius Andrade. Remember when it was billed that him and Peter Quillen was really close friends? Well, it turns out that Danny Jacobs, that they're just associates. Just like, Peter Quillen was no closer a friend to him than Sergey Derevyanchenko was, according to Danny Jacobs' words. In fact, let me see. Is this where I asked him the question?
How would you grade your performance tonight? And
around in these two, but I got.
This is not the one. Hold on, I'm going to find it for you.
Round robin where you have.
But the point is, he was talking about, like we grew up together. We known each other since we were so, young. I don't want to fight him and blah, blah, blah. I did get a chance to see Demetrius Andrade earlier in the night, but here's what I do. And a lot of people fault me for it. I'm not somebody that's just going to, walk up to you and put a camera in your face. I'm not motherfucking paparazzi. So if I see a fighter, I'll be looking and I'll be like, all right, let me see, they talking to people and shit. I'm not going to come in and say, I'm not going to just be there and come in with my camera like, hey, yo, what's up? What the fuck? Yeah, what you been doing? Nah, that's not me. I'm going to talk to you like, yo, what's up? You taking interviews? And they say, nah, I'm not right now. Then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm out. So I saw him, and it was like, all right, I'm not going to, but to move on. They're going to have to fight each other. If they're going to be champions together. Now, Danny Jacobs did say to his credit that he did talk to Demetrius Andrade in the past about it. Basically, not I'm paraphrasing, and that they will only fight if it was really, really big money and a unification. And in this case, Danny Jacobs now, no matter he was saying that people talk about in a negative light that the WBA title he had wasn't necessarily a real title. Well, fuck it. Hey, we all know it. It's not. It's an underling title. However, it's considered a world title. Fighters celebrate like it's a world title. Fans and even us look at it like, well, we may say it's a bullshit title, but we still say they're a champion. So, But now he's legitimately, he can say, in the record books, he can say he's a 2-time champion. Same thing for everybody who has that WBA world, But now it's looking like that Canelo is next, but it's going to be some leverage. How much is the zone going to pay him? And also, Matchroom's got to throw some money in too. He's not only got to, we don't know how long his Matchroom contract is, but if that's up too with the HBO deal, then he's got to get money from the zone, and he's got to get money from Matchroom. However, business-wise, the zone also knows that, well, he can't go anywhere else really because they have all the champions, including him. And Canelo is the champion to lure other fighters to the zone, but also the 160-pound division. For example, look what he said about Golovkin. Golovkin's got to come to the zone if he wants the big fights. The talk is now, according to Tom Loeffler on Joy Phelps' channel, is that Golovkin will be pursuing Callum Smith. I don't like that fight for him, but I can see what he's doing. Okay, Canelo, you fight motherfucking Rocky Fielding for that underling title. I'm going to go get the real one and that WBC diamond. So if he was to do that and win, that would shit on Canelo's, WBA world, title fight, even though he still has Golovkin's belts, WBC, WBA. And in regards to this belt, Sergey Derevyanchenko would have lost to Golovkin, especially the Golovkin that probably got knocked out, especially the Golovkin that for Canelo. Sergey Derevyanchenko is good. Now let's talk about this. And for God's sake, somebody change his motherfucking, get him a new box rec picture. In fact, I know somebody, I don't know him, but, follow him on Twitter. For God's sake, change it. 35 and, let's go full screen. 35-2 with 29 KOs, Danny the Miracle Man Jacobs. Undefeated fighter right here, Marshall Salusky. Undefeated fighter, Luis Arias. Undefeated fighter, even though he lost against Gennady Golovkin. These three fights right here are meaningful fights to me. Luis Arias, yes, they're not well-known names because they didn't get that full push to be like well-known names. They took the big fight in Danny Jacobs early in their careers, especially Luis Arias. Well, not early for Salusky and Derevyanchenko, but meaning in regards to people were like, okay, you should get a few more big fights first. A few more fights first. But I respect this, especially Derevyanchenko with his amateur pedigree and background. It's just that he fought, his fight was too wild, if you ask me. Now, don't get me wrong. He fought a hell of a fight. But what happened to the technician he was supposed to be? In fact, in previous fights I watched of his, I consider him to be more robotic. I would have rather him fought the robotic fight last night. And maybe he would have set up the shots better. Don't get me wrong. In the second half of the fight, he was laying hands on Danny. And if it wasn't for that knockdown, whew, and it was a flash knockdown. But I can understand what Danny Jacobs had to do. He had to secure and protect the bag. So he didn't want to go out there and go life and death with Sergey Derevyanchenko, so he moved and boxed. I don't blame him. Also, the venue was rocking. There was a lot of people in there. It was rocking. I mean, for the small room in Madison Square Garden. I saw some people like, he in his hometown, and he's not even in the big room. He about to get that bread now, and now that after Golovkin, post Golovkin, now he's on the nothing but big fights. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Demetrius Andrade, it's looking like they're going to push the Demetrius Andrade fight off as long as they possibly can. Because he just don't want to fight him because they're friends. And truth be told, that suits the zone because they can build them, up to fight other fighters and say, we got two champions, But it's looking like if Canelo can beat Rocky Felding, that it's going to be Canelo versus Jacobs May the 4th, 2019 on the zone for $10. That was cheaper than Sergey Derevyanchenko Jacobs last night, or Jacobs Derevyanchenko, if you only keep HBO for boxing. A lot of people going to be canceling. Also note that HBO is going to have likely 2 more cards. Well, they are having a definite 1 more card with Bivol versus Pascal. I'm going to go to that. It's in Atlantic City. Damn. No, I can go to Atlantic City. I can go to that one because I can be back here within like an hour. Yeah, I can go to that one. And plus, I've been sleeping on main events, man. I got to cover more of these fights. They had a Facebook fight. I ain't been showing them no love. But anyway, I still got some more post-fight videos to do. I got to do Heather Hardy versus Shelly Vincent 2. I got to do Alberto Machado versus Yandel Evans. And I'm just going to do those right now since I was there. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.